Today's a good one. We've got Dom from Foil Drive with us here at the SUP company. So welcome on to our YouTube channel. This is a special one for us. This is Dom from Foil Drive. Thrilled to bits, not that just Dom's come down to see us at our cow shop and test centre here on the south coast of the UK, but he's also bought some fantastic toys with him, which are going to form part of our offering and prove incredibly popular, because to say that we've been fangirling this stuff for a little while is a huge understatement. So Dom, well look, first off, thank you.
No problem.
Can you take us through a Foil Drive system and what it is? We're really familiar with efoils here.
Okay.
But explain to us what this is going to do to our analog, if you like, foiling setups.
Okay, sure. So first of all, the Foil Drives are foil assist systems. They're fully retrofittable to pretty much any model of foil equipment that's in existence. You can set the motor pod to pretty much any height that you like on the mast. You have a handheld controller, just like the efoil, but the main difference is that you use the motor, the thrust from the motor, to get you up on foil. And when you're up on foil, it's designed to just disappear, so it doesn't affect your foiling performance at all.
And for me, that is one of the really big things, is that having used an efoil for a long period of time now, I understand the pros and cons, but the biggest con for a long time is you have all this drag underneath you.
Yeah.
And it's just hassle.
And the extra weight as well.
Yeah, the weight in the board alone is immense. Whereas what you've delivered to us, and let's go through the kit, is so complete, first off, when you open the box, but I can't believe the quality for one, just the weight, and then just the fit and finish and how it just drops seamlessly on. So pretty much every foil system that we've got here in test.
Yeah, we've worked really hard to make sure that it's a system that works really, really well. And okay, look, let's start with weight. So the two systems are the Assist Max, which is this one, and the Assist Slim, which we'll see in a minute. The Assist Slim, the smallest one, starts at 2.3 kilograms. That's everything. That's the box, the motor, the battery, the controller, literally everything that you attach to your foil kit when you're in use. 2.3 kilos.
It's nothing.
Nothing. And the Assist Max, we're going right up to the opposite end of the scale. The biggest, heaviest version is 4.5 kilos.
But again, to reference back to an efoil, that's nothing in the scheme of things. I mean, complete efoil setup, you're getting on for 35 kilos, 40 kilos, something around there. So you add just 4.5 kilos to your existing setup.
But the beauty here is that while its main use is as a foil assist to help you get up on foil in conditions that you literally couldn't get up on foil in any other way whatsoever, you can actually use this as a sort of a proper efoil for shorter periods of time, but its use as an efoil is still valid. You still have a decent amount of runtime. I would say minimum 30 minutes for an average weight rider with a medium-sized foil, at least 30 minutes of continual motoring around. But when used as an assist, you can get, well, I'm consistently getting hour and a half minimum, because you have that mixture of using the motor to get up on foil. Depends on how many times you fall and wipe out and need to get up on foil. But it also depends on how much you pump, how much you ride the waves or the swell. And in between, what I call hybrid foiling, you're then able to pull the trigger and just motor around, hunting down every last wave or bit of swell. You're on foil continuously. Even if you fall, you're not bothered about the hassle of getting up on foil again. You have to paddle to find a wave or wrestle with the wind wing again. All of that is completely gone. You just pull the trigger, vroom, you're up, and you're back to it again. So for me, one of the best parts of Foil Drive is that you utilize every single minute of your foiling time on foil.
So can you run us through as to what is actually within the case here?
Yeah, sure.
As to what
Absolutely.
comes. So,
Okay, right. Well, first of all, you've got the actual unit itself. This is the Assist Max, so it's 5 centimeters deep. The Assist Slim is 3 centimeters deep, so it's nearly half as deep as this unit. All kits comes with both the long and the short nose cone. The Assist Max, there are 2 batteries. The large battery is the power battery, so with the long nose cone, and the small nose cone fits the sport battery. Under the short nose cone, you get the wireless charging pad for the throttle controller. You get a standard charger. In here, you also have all the tools that you need, a T30, a T40, the 2.5mm driver, and a pick tool for getting the O-rings out if you need to clean them. You get a spares pack, so spare latches, spare bolts, spare O-rings. You get a beautiful foil drive blue, fully embossed little dry rag here for wiping down, getting rid of the salt water. You get obviously a hand throttle controller. You get the outer and inner motor pod with the short nose and the long nose there, so it fits all the points on the mast. Battery grease, it's a dielectric grease to protect the plug pins. Obviously, you're going to have a motor, which is made up of the rotor and the stator, with the cable length that you've selected. You also get 4 M8 bolts and 4 M6 bolts, depending on, and you get both, so it doesn't matter what system you're running. And obviously, you have a choice of batteries. So I think it's probably a good idea if we talk about the batteries.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's such a complete, well thought out unit, and the case alone is just, it's a thing of beauty, but when it's all together and so compact like this, it's just awesome. So battery wise, with the batteries, we've got a few of them here. Run us through. So this being the Max, what are our battery options with the Max?
Okay, so the Max and the Slim both have 2 batteries.
Okay.
There's a large and a small for the Max and a large and a small for the Slim. They're labelled A, B, C and D, but we also name them so it just makes it easier for people to order them and not make any mistakes. The large battery for the Max is called the power battery. The small battery for the Max is called the sport battery. The large battery for the Slim is called the endurance battery, and the small battery for the Slim is called the performance battery. Now, obviously, the main difference is runtime. The Max battery, the power battery, for an average person with an average foil size.
An average person, 80 kilos?
About 80 kilos.
Yeah.
With a average board, say neutral volume and a medium to large size foil. If you're continually foiling, you should get at least half an hour, maybe more, of battery time. But if you're using it as an assist, then you can get an hour and a half easy.
Yeah.
Now bear in mind that foil drive as a foil assist, it's not one of those efoils that you can literally just pull the trigger. You've got so much thrust that without any skill you can probably get up on foil and blast around. You do still need an amount of skill to be able to get the best out of this. Now, the good news is that it doesn't take long to develop that skill. It's a technique like anything in foiling, you learn it real quick.
Yeah.
And it's all about developing efficiency. So you develop the efficiency of taking off by reducing drag, learning to know how much throttle to use throughout that whole process. It's all about reducing drag. When you're on foil, you don't want to pull the trigger to 100% the whole time. You're wasting your battery charge. So reduce the amount of throttle that you're using so that you're obviously not stalling, but what's the point in going twice as fast when you're using so much more battery power? It's all about learning how to get the best out of your system. And everybody starts off thinking, wow, this is harder than I thought. But after half an hour, maybe your first session or two, people are having a great time, and after, I don't know, a few sessions, every time you go out on foil with foil drive, people are getting longer and longer run times. They're using smaller foils and boards, and what you first start off with, you'd be amazed at what a difference, say a few weeks or a month or so of using this system, of how much more you can get out of it than when you first start using it.
But that, for me, I think, is one of the things that I've found with powered foils, ultimately anyways, you improve so much quicker in your own foiling because your efficiency improves.
Yeah.
In terms of your time on the water becomes so much better spent for the use that you're doing, or for the sporting activity you're taking part in.
Yeah.
The one thing that really struck me, and I know it jumped out at you having spoken to you off camera as well previously, is when having first seen this generation, because this is a Gen 2 set, is just how quickly you can change a battery.
Oh yeah.
I was blown away by it. I mean, when we mounted it on the board for the first time, I was like, oh God, how are we going to change a battery? And you're like, oh no, got that. And it is literally, I mean, we'll cut to it now, I'm sure, but it's just seconds. It's seamless.
I mean, there are so many advantages to this system. It's so well built, so well constructed. Paul did an amazing job of making it not only one of the most robust systems that I've seen. I can't imagine that it's not going to damage very easily at all. Its performance is incredibly high, but it's so easy to use. It really is. So literally 2 latches, take the nose cone off, pull the battery out, put the new one in, nose cone back on, close the latches, you are good to go. 30 seconds, literally, that's all it takes.
It's nuts. And in terms of use, obviously, once it's rigged on the board and the mast, your interface then becomes the remote. And the remote, for me, you know, having played with it, having you take us through also the menu settings and everything else within there as well, it's just really simple.
It's a good system. I like it. It's very intuitive. The remote itself, the trigger is very progressive, very, very easy to use. And although it can be a bit twitchy to begin with, it's like everything in foiling. You don't want everything to be super easy the first time you use it, because then there's no progression to get better. The fact that it is quite a precise level of control means that as you get better, you don't outgrow it. And it does give you a really nice sort of intuitive feel for getting up on foil, as well as for being able to control it when you're doing what I call hybrid foiling. When you're riding a wave, you come off the back of the wave, maybe you try and pump out to link, maybe you make a mistake, maybe your legs are tired, you want to brake. Just before the board hits the water, you pull the trigger, and as the motor goes back into the water, this is if you're doing it perfect timing, as the motor goes back into the water, you've already started the props moving, spinning, and you're just seamlessly motoring from foiling to motoring. And then when you want to do the opposite, I find a little ollie really helps. So you keep the trigger down so that you've got thrust from the motor. You do a little ollie, and as you ollie up, you release the trigger, and then you're back up on foil, either riding the wave or the swell, or just pumping without the power of the motor.
Wow. And then for me, in a family setting, so my son's now 13, he's pretty much up and foiling, you know, generally speaking. But for us in a family setting, and if I do want to make it into a true efoil, my analog foils, give them a smaller wing or whatever else, different length cables. So with the stator, and I was surprised that, don't get me wrong, you know, you can see where the money's gone into this, but I was surprised by just how affordable in the scheme of things this is as an option. So can you take us through this?
Absolutely, So the motor is essentially in 2 parts. You've got the rotor, which has the shaft and the propellers, and you've got the stator, which are the magnets and the coil of wire and the bearings. Now, the cable is fixed inside the stator, so we refer to this as the stator, but it's the part that determines the length of the cable, so the height on the mast. So this one here is 20 centimeters. But like you said, if you've got a spouse or kids that you want to give an efoil experience just to learn foiling or just for a bit of fun, you can buy a stator only that has a 60 or a 70 centimeter cable, which enables you for a relatively cheap price to convert your entire kit into a very usable efoil. Of course, if you want to spend a little bit more money on it, you can actually buy an integrated mast with the motor set at the efoil position close to the fuselage. And that means that the cable is now inside the mast, reduces all the drag. Okay, you've still got the motor pods attached to the mast, but trust me, at least 80% of the drag comes from the cable. And to be honest, I never used to really like e-foiling because, you know, if you're a foiler and you know what it's like foiling waves, swell, whatever, that feeling of efficiency, there's no drag, it's amazing. So e-foiling with a cable all the way down the mast, it's okay, but for me it wasn't really my thing. And then Paul persuaded me to try one of the integrated masts with the stator and the motor at efoil position. And honestly, I now really enjoy it. Occasionally on flat water, I still love doing a lot of flat water pumping, it's great training. But I will now genuinely choose the integrated efoil mast because you can carve around, because you're on your own gear.
Yeah.
You've tweaked for performance. It's super lightweight. It's super, you know, high performance gear, and you can crank turns on flat water. You can still pump a little bit, even though the motor pod is underwater. You notice it, but you can still do a little bit of it. And yeah, it's great training, especially for you know, like I say, turning, carving, doing everything. It's just a whole bundle of fun for you know, not having to buy a whole new efoil. It's incredible.
Well, that for me is one of the most striking things with it. And listen, it is a considered purchase.
Yeah.
No question, a four drive system. But it is, once you start weighing it up against what an efoil package costs, you take some of the leading brands, you're getting on for more than double this.
Yeah. And considering it's just one part, an add-on, compared to a whole new product, then yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, it now becomes affordable.
Yeah, and it literally takes your existing quiver, my existing quiver, you know, it takes our test centre here just to a whole new level in terms of a no wind day or just a pump day. All of a sudden, pump day becomes, well, my battery runs out pretty quick pumping, but you know, it takes that whole session, that time on the water, and it's mind blowing. I'm totally blown away.
I've done wake foiling, well, wake thieving with the integrated efoil mast, and like I say, you can notice that drag compared to the complete lack of drag when the motor is in assist position, totally out of the water. But you can still do it. You can still ride a boat wake with that integrated efoil mast, because the rest of your equipment, it's not like you've just said, a proper efoil is what, 25 to 35 kilos? Well, these systems only add 2.3 or up to 4.5 kilos. Compared to, you know, the big efoils, it's nothing. This is something that, you know, will allow so many people to have an absolute blast, a fraction of the cost that it would have cost them.
So with the full drive integrated mast, fuselage options, talk us through.
Okay, yep, so there is the Axis integrated mast, which obviously only fits the Axis fuselage, but we also do a Project Cedrus integrated mast, and the Project Cedrus masts have adapters that will fit pretty much most, if not all, of the main brands.
Right, okay, so we're not limited in any way to bolting it in. Oh, so fantastic. Well, look, Dom, thank you so much for coming to visit us here.
My pleasure.
We could not be more excited, and really to have full drive now part of our offering here in our test centre, but also to all of our existing customers as well. So look, thank you for your time.
No problem at all, mate.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for watching our video. If you've got any questions about what you've seen, why not give us a call in the shop or head over to thesupco.com. To stay up to date though with all of our videos, well, make sure you subscribe up here and hit the notification bell. But to see our next video, well, take a look up here.